Well, gold isn't the only thing that's glistening right now. A study by Deloitte Access Economics, commissioned by search engine Google, claims the internet contributed about $50 billion to GDP last year, about the same as our iron ore exports. And they're predicting there's much more from where that came from. Trouble is, it's very difficult to measure. So I sought some assistance from Google Australia Managing Director Nick Leeder. Nick Leeder, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, we talk a lot about a resources boom. How does that compare to what you're talking about?
The internet today, if you measure it as per the sort of normal way GDP is measured, is contributing about $50 billion of Australia's GDP, which pegs it at about the same size as the value of our iron ore exports.
So are you also saying that's why we need a national broadband network?
We are saying that if you look at the way the internet's Australians are using the internet, pretty much every index that you look at or indice has doubled over the last 4 years. And we're saying it is having a positive impact on the economy, and that if we are to facilitate further growth, and there's a lot more growth to come, then we do need the infrastructure in place to give people high speed and ubiquitous access.
But is it the NBN as planned by the federal government, or could it be something else?
Look, it could be something else. Our view is that the NBN does do that, and it's, we live in the real world. It's the best option that's on the table right now.
Well, we think about things like banking, real estate, travel, retail, when we think about the internet and how helpful it can be. But what are some of the areas that you see that might be massive in the future that we're yet to discover?
I mean, there's stories about an Australian business that's set up to allow farmers to auction cattle without taking them, but getting them on a truck and taking them to a central livestock holding pen. They now take photos and videos of the animals and auction them online. So it's changing many things. It's not necessarily just the big things like the Googles and the Facebooks that are changing. It's actually changing lots of transactions that are happening every day in lots of ways.
But isn't that part of the problem, selling this sort of concept and selling the sort of investment that this concept might need to fulfil its potential? You just can't measure it.
It is difficult. A lot of the value, we think that even things like the productivity at a household level by being able to search on search engines like Google and others is adding something like $7 billion a year in value to households. Now, that's not looking at it from a GDP perspective, but that's looking at it from a productivity benefit that households are getting from being able to do things on the internet that they weren't previously. So I think when we're rolling the clock forward and thinking about the impact of the internet over the next 5, 10, 20 years, it is going to be an important source of additional productivity benefit and growth for the Australian economy.
Well, we're being told we have a productivity problem, so you think this is the answer?
I think it's part of it. I wouldn't say that it's the only thing, but we do think that when we talk to small businesses, and we've done this as part of this report, is actually survey them. And they do say, small businesses are saying to us that they see benefits from using the internet to not only attract customers in a more efficient way than they were able to do previously, but it's also changing the way they work internally. And I think, again, that's one of the really interesting things about the role of the internet, is it flattens out a lot of the barriers that for small businesses in particular to compete. You look at cloud computing as an example. You no longer need to be, make the big investments in servers and so forth in order to be up and running and have good IT services. You can do that very cheaply now. So I think it's that kind of thing which is going to flatten out the economy and make it more competitive, and particularly the advantages for small business are very pronounced.
Well, you can't really discuss the benefits without looking at the collateral damage. What's to stop a lot of Australian jobs being exported overseas? McKinsey
did a report on this a few years ago, recently, looking at what the sort of rate of loss is to the rate of creation, and it's about 2.6 jobs are created for every job lost. But I think the most important thing when you're facing a challenge like that, you've got really two options. One is to One is to hold it back and try to defend, I suppose. And the other is the more optimistic model, which is to really understand what the change is about, how are consumers and businesses changing, and to get in front of it. Because at the moment, Australia is sort of middle of the pack of the OECD countries in terms of how deep the internet is in terms of its GDP impact.
What about developing our own people and our own skilled workforce to support this boom? Are we doing enough?
I think we can do more. I think, though, giving Australian businesses the infrastructure is one key part. But again, you know, small businesses do need help to make this transition, and that's an area where I think, you know, we should be doing more.
Nick Leeder, thanks for joining Late Line Business.
Thank you.